It's time to call a spade a spade. Those pro-peace activists are not pro-peace at all. They are not pro-Arab lives. They are not pro-Palestinian. They are simply shamelessly anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, and anti-Jewish. I'll prove it to you. Watch this segment from Australian news anchor Erin Molan.
Hi. Hamas has just rejected the ceasefire deal that Israel had agreed to, the Witkoff deal. The silence is beyond deafening. Let me just repeat that because I feel like maybe you haven't seen or you don't understand or it's just, I don't know, not resonated. Hamas, the evil terrorists who control Gaza, have rejected a ceasefire deal that would have brought the innocent people home, the hostages, given back a lot of prisoners, and kind of stopped the war. You know, the war that you keep asking to stop? The war that you say Israel isn't allowed to fight. They just need to lay down their arms and be slaughtered again and again and again by these terrorists who continue to promise to do so. They've said no to a ceasefire. If your anger is legitimate, if your deep care for those innocent children in Gaza, you should be absolutely beyond filthy right now. That a chance to end this misery has been rejected by Hamas. You know, those terrorists who slaughtered all those innocent people and continue to slaughter their own people, and by their very existence give a death sentence to every child born in Gaza because they've promised to continue trying to slaughter Israelis and Jews, which means there'll be eternal war in that region unless they are eliminated. No child in that region will ever have peace. Yeah, those guys, they have rejected the ceasefire. So all of you big, high-profile public figures, world leaders, you know, Starmer, Macron, Carney, where are you? Where are your joint statements that are condemning Hamas for passing on an opportunity to end this? Where? It is utterly bizarre. You kept calling on Israel to stop. They just agreed to. Hamas said no. There's no joint letters. There's no big rallies or public outcry. Maybe just even pretend, just so the rest of your stupidity has a tiny bit of credibility. You should just pretend now to be a little bit angry, even though it's so obvious that your anger has nothing to do with innocence in Gaza. What a joke. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Again, Hamas has rejected an opportunity to end this war, the terrorists. And you are silent.
The silence is actually deafening. The United Nations called an emergency meeting just yesterday, calling for an emergency end to the war in Gaza and for the United Nations to be in charge of providing food to the Palestinians. Thankfully, the United States vetoed the resolution, declaring that the silence is deafening when it comes to the hostages. There's not even a reference to the hostages in the condemnation of Israel. In fact, it's very, very difficult to find any condemnations of Hamas at all. Forget the hostages, not even Hamas for initiating this war. If you take a look at the United Nations, and you just look at the history of how many times the United Nations has condemned Israel in its history, and how many times the United Nations has condemned every other nation on the face of this earth, you would think that Israel is the absolute devil. It makes North Korea, it makes Iran look like child's play when you compare the amount of condemnations from the United Nations. Since October 7th, take a look at how many times the United Nations has condemned Israel, and take a look at how many times the United Nations has condemned Hamas. Don't be surprised when you find out that the answer is 0 condemnations against Hamas, because this is not a humanitarian organization. The United Nations has a shameless bias against Israel. It's a bunch of wolves and a sheep, a single sheep, having a vote over who to eat for dinner tonight. And it doesn't work. Those mindless pro-peace supporters who Benjamin Netanyahu called useful idiots in his speech to Congress, those who claim to be anti-war and pro-peace, have just been exposed for the upteenth time as hypocrites, as xenophobes, as anti-Semites, as Jew haters. Because anytime someone calls from the river to the sea, they are calling to make Israel Judenrein, to take all the Jews out of Israel. That is a call for ethnic cleansing. That is a call for genocide against the Jews. And the same thing goes for Free Palestine. When they say Free Palestine, what they're saying is Free Palestine from Jews. So educate yourself, folks. Share this video with a college student that is well-intentioned but has no idea the devil with whom they're marching. Because if in truth you do stand for truth, then now is your time to stand up and be heard. Because otherwise, your silence is deafening and your hypocrisy is unthinkable. I'm Israel Chai.